The night my sister got engaged was the night I realized my entire family had been lying to me.
My name is Natalie. I'm the middle child in a family where birth order defines everything. My older sister, Elise, was the crown jewel. Straight A's. Homecoming queen. Graduated college with honors and landed a fiancé who looked like he'd been carved out of a magazine ad for yachts and summer estates. My younger brother, Theo, was the baby. Creative, funny, adored. He could do no wrong, even when he did everything wrong. And me? I was the neutral filler. The girl who didn't cause problems,
but never got applause. I kept my head down, built a steady career in finance, paid my own rent since I was 21, showed up to family events with gifts, smiles, and a polite laugh. Nobody asked much of me, and nobody noticed when I stopped offering more. Elise's engagement was announced with a mass text from my mother. Our Elise is officially off the market. Join us Saturday for a surprise engagement dinner. Formal attire, of course. No one asked if we were free. We just were expected to be. Theo and I texted each other in the family group chat with eye roll emojis. Still, we went. Because that's what we did. We showed up. We smiled. Even when we didn't mean it. The dinner was held at La Morelle, a restaurant so expensive I had to Google it to check the dress code. Candlelight flickered off chandeliers. Waiters wore gloves. Every wine bottle had a story. I wore a navy dress I'd pulled from clearance last fall. My mother barely glanced at it. "You look nice, Natalie," she said, already reaching to adjust Elise's necklace. Elise looked stunning, of course. Her hair in soft waves, makeup flawless, her left hand floating conspicuously in midair, like she was practicing hand modeling. The ring sparkled like it had its own electricity. Her fiancé, Grant, had one arm around her and the other loosely in his pocket, like a man who'd just closed a billion-dollar deal. I took my seat at the edge of the long table. Theo slid into the chair next to me, loosened his collar, and whispered, "This is going to be a long night." I smiled. "Buckle up." Appetizers arrived. Shrimp mousse on rosemary crackers. Tiny spoons of something green and cold. Everyone laughed too hard at Grant's jokes. My dad toasted him like he was passing off a legacy, not a daughter. I watched my mom. She was watching Elise. Always Elise. Theo leaned toward me. "You notice how weird Mom's been acting lately?" I shrugged. "She's always weird around events." "No," he said quietly. "I mean, secretive. Like she's holding something in." I raised an eyebrow. "Like what?" He hesitated, then shook his head. "Maybe it's nothing." I didn't push, but the way he said it stuck with me. Halfway through the main course, duck breast with some French name I couldn't pronounce, Grant stood to make a speech. "My dear future in-laws," he began, lifting his wine glass. "I want to thank you all for welcoming me into this incredible family. And to Elise, the love of my life, my soon-to-be wife, you've made me the luckiest man on earth." Everyone clapped. I forced a smile, and then I noticed something. Theo wasn't clapping. His hands were folded in his lap, and his jaw was tight. He caught me looking and shook his head once, almost like a warning. I leaned in. "What's going on?" I whispered. He didn't answer. Not then. Not yet. Dessert came. A tower of sugared pears and chocolate drizzle. The champagne flowed again. Elise kissed Grant on the cheek and my parents laughed like everything was perfect. And maybe for them it was. But something was wrong. Very, very wrong. Theo stood up, slowly. He came to my side of the table and tapped my shoulder. "Nat," he said quietly, "we need to go." I blinked. "What?" "Now. Trust me." The table looked over, puzzled. I forgot to tell Natalie, Theo said with a tight smile. We've got that early meeting tomorrow. Big opportunity. I stood, still confused. We stepped away from the table. I followed him toward the lobby. When we were far enough from earshot, I said, Theo, what the hell is going on? He looked me straight in the eyes and said something I never saw coming. Grant isn't who he says he is. And Mom knows. I stared at Theo. Grant isn't who he says he is. And Mom knows. It felt like the floor shifted beneath me. What does that mean? I whispered, heart pounding. Is he married? A criminal? What? Theo ran a hand through his hair, visibly agitated. Not married. Not a criminal. But close. He's a fraud, Nat. Not just some minor resume lies. Like full-blown identity stuff. I blinked. That's not possible. He's not even using his real name. What? Theo looked around the hallway like he expected someone to jump out. I started digging a few weeks ago. Something about him didn't sit right. His LinkedIn profile had inconsistencies. Dates didn't add up. His college said they'd never heard of him. Then I found an old news article from 3 states over. His face. A different name. A story about scamming wealthy women. And Mom knew. I took a shaky breath. How do you know she knew? Because she paid him to stay quiet. I leaned against the wall, dizzy. Theo continued. He's been blackmailing her. For over a month. Said he'd expose something about Dad. An old affair maybe, I don't even know. She thought she could control it. That keeping Elise happy would keep him happy. My thoughts raced. My sister was marrying a con artist. My mother was covering it up. And I'd been asked to sit quietly in the corner. We have to tell her, I said. Theo nodded. Yeah, but not here. Not in front of everyone. We need proof. Do you have it? He pulled out his phone and tapped the screen. Screenshots. Reverse image searches. Archived web pages. All of it. But she won't believe me unless it's face to face. I looked toward the dining room. Laughter spilled from behind the door. They were toasting again. To love. To lies. The next day, we met Elise at her apartment. She was glowing. A fresh manicure. Bridal magazines on the table. She had no idea her entire world was about to shift. Theo didn't sugarcoat it. He laid it out. Showed her the files. Let her read every article. Every thread. Every damning detail. At first, she laughed. You're kidding, she said. This is a joke. Then her eyes changed. Then she stopped laughing. And then she cried. I loved him, she whispered. I thought, I finally found someone who saw me for me. I sat next to her and held her hand. You still have you, I said. And that's more powerful than anything he tried to take. The fallout was fast. Elise called off the engagement. Returned the ring. Told our parents. Our mother didn't cry. She just sat quietly and said, I thought I was protecting you. Dad didn't speak to her for a week. The family group chat went silent. A month later, Elise started therapy. Cut her hair. Took a solo trip to Barcelona. Theo and I checked in often. I asked her once if she regretted it all. She smiled, bittersweet. No, she said. I regret not listening to my gut. But I'm grateful it happened now. Not after vows. Not after kids. 6 months later, we were at another dinner. Not as formal. Just the 3 of us. Theo raised his glass. To seeing through the lies. We clinked. And for once, I didn't feel like the middle child in the shadows. I felt seen. And more than that, I felt fearless.